Investing in real estate with no money is a lot easier than you may think. And while going to a bank and asking or begging for an investment loan and putting down 20% is the most common tactic used for investors today, other than the BRRRR strategy, there's another one that can get you in for much less. And with that being said, let's dive into it.
Welcome to the Smack Fest, the beat down. The SWAT team is here on another beautiful day of shutting the week down.
What's going on, guys? My name is Dauria, and if this is your very first time here, consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any content I upload several times per week. My channel, am all about real estate investing for passive income, and I want you to become financially free. I did so by 32 because I knew what it took to become financially independent by nothing but this one secret: dedication and hard work. And I'm a firm believer that real estate investing alone for passive income is the #1 way today to become financially free and live your life on your own terms. So in this video, we're going to talk about what it takes to acquire a rental property with little to no money down and still be able to cash flow and do it again with none of your own credit. So we're going to talk about what is owner financing. So owner financing is when somebody has a house that is paid in full. And before we get to this, I want to tell you a really quick fact statistic. So 30%, that's 1 of 3 houses in the US statistically, are paid in full. That's crazy, right? So before you say nobody has their house paid in full and this is going to be really hard to do in my area, if you're in the United States, statistics shows that 1 out of 3, that's 30% of houses, are already paid in full. And see the link below, I want to show you a special software in order to find these properties. So when you come across an owner finance deal, this is how you determine if you're going to be able to rent it out for more than you're going to be paying. And that's what's called cash flow. And if you go to rentometer.com, see the link down in my description, you can do this for free. It'll give you instant comps, and it's my #1 source for all rental properties. It's my go-to, it's easy, it literally takes a few seconds. So when you find a deal, how do you know it's a good deal? So you went on rentometer.com, that's great. And it says it'll rent for $1,500 a month. Okay, now what? So when you're looking at a property and it's an owner finance, you need to be able to negotiate the deal first, because you're going to have a few things in there that you may or may not be aware of that you're going to be responsible over time, including some surprise costs that you want to build into your rent price that's going to cover all this. So for instance, say you come across an owner finance deal and your monthly payment, we're going to start with the monthly payment, is $750, okay? You want to allocate about $200 per month on top of that $750 that the owner agreed to be paid on. So you have the $750 plus you got your repair budget of $200 a month. So now you're at $950 a month. So you're also going to have vacancy, which you're going to put 10% of vacancy on top of that, okay? And then you're going to want to add the insurance for your area. Typically my area is about $100 a month. And then you want to have any property management fees you're going to have in there as well, along with property taxes that may or may not be escrowed in with the seller's payment. So you need to determine, okay, the seller will take this. What does all that include in the payment? And what's not included, you need to make sure that you add those couple little things that I just went over. Let's just say that comes up to $1,200 a month. And Rentometer says, and this is everything included, and Rentometer says you can get $1,500 per month for that property. Now, if you're going to be hiring a property management in the first place, confirm it with them before you close the deal with the seller, because they will tell you exactly how much that property to go with, because they know every street in that city and the good ones and the bad ones and the fluctuations of rent that may or may not be the case. So be sure to check with your property manager to confirm those prices that you see online on rentometer.com. #2 is interest rate with the seller. So typically owner finance properties, usually have a higher interest rate. Sometimes they don't have any interest rate. This is 100% up for negotiation. So whatever you and the seller decide to agree on is literally the agreement. So it could be anything from 0% interest, which can happen, I'll go over why in a second, all the way up to maybe say 8% interest if you're getting it for a really, really good deal and you know that it's gonna cash flow well even with 8%. That could be a tactic as well, because you gotta remember, guys, we're coming into this with little to no money, so we don't really have other options. It's either, hey, I can cash flow on this and do well, or I'm not really going to be able to do well, and in that case, I can move on the deal. And passing on the deal sometimes is the best deal out there. You sometimes have to kiss a bunch of frogs in order to get some good ones. So Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, said sometimes you have to look at 100 properties before you can get one property. And that one property, though, is going to be the sweet, sweet deal that you have been looking for. Back to that 0%, like how in the world can we get 0%? So this is what you could possibly do, okay? You could say, go to the owner and say, look, I know you're asking $100,000 for your house, okay? I'm willing to give you $120,000 for this property, okay? It's 0% interest. And you don't have to bring it out to 30 years. You could run on 15. You could do 5, you could 10. You really have to talk to the seller. You kind of have to feel them out a little bit to determine what you can do. Obviously, the longer loan you do, the more you're gonna be able to cash flow. That's typically my game, is I want to stretch it out as long as possible, cash flow the most, take the excess cash flow and reinvest it, basically snowballing the whole effect. So that's a tactic you can use as well. Also, if he wants 5 or 10% down on the property and the property actually needs repairs that you're going to be doing anyways, you can negotiate the fact that you're going to do all the repairs to the property, therefore might be able to get out of paying the down payment at all because you're about to beautify your property. It will be his property if you don't pay, and it'll already be rehabbed. Kind of see where I'm coming from on this? And number 3 is the loan due date. Like I was saying, it could be 30 years, which I recommend trying to get out there as far as you can, only so you can cash flow more, okay? But a lot of sellers won't let you go out that long. They want a 5-year, possibly 10-year, 7-year. Like I said, it's all up to them with a balloon payment at the end. So you have to have an end game already set up, basically, right? Because at the end of that 5 years, 7.5, 10 years, whatever it is, that amount is due in full. So you could also at that point reach out to a hard money lender if you absolutely had to. You can go private money. You could do something to hang on to that property instead of losing it. But you do want to have something in place that you can get out of that, get him paid back, and maybe get into a lower APR or something fixed for another 30 years. Because the goal in real estate investing, at least my goal when it comes to buy and hold for passive income, is not, I repeat, is not, guys, to pay the property off. It's not my goal. It never will be my goal. Matter of fact, I don't want any of my properties paid off. Every single one of them, I want cash flowing with a loan, because if I have a property that's completely paid off, it's dead money. I basically have $300,000 or whatever houses are in your area sitting under the foundation, just sitting on $300,000. When I can take that, put 20% down, and buy 5 of the same properties, guys, like, it makes so much more sense in the long term not to pay off, at least for me, okay? Everybody's different, but for me, I don't want my properties paid off. I would rather make, $200, $300, $400 on a property that's financed that I have little to nothing in, because at that point, I'm using somebody else's money to make money, and because I have little to nothing in it, I can do that indefinitely. And anytime that I can invest in a property, have little to nothing in it, and do it indefinitely, basically let your income become limitless. And the limitless income is what I want you to aspire to achieve. Should I say achieve? Can you achieve limitless income? You know what I mean, okay? Basically, there's not a glass ceiling. Guys, we all know what we're talking about, okay? For instance, when you get in a job, say, even if you're a heart surgeon, even if you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you're whatever, and you're making $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year, typically your career path has a cap. Like the top guys will be making 400 grand. I can make 400 grand one year. Or you could make Grant Cardone money, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of the difference here is when you're a real estate investor, you're investing for something that's called passive income, you can scale and every single year for the rest of your life, increase your income. And there will not be a stop to that. It won't ever slow down. Matter of fact, it'll actually speed up just with inflation and rents increasing over time. And this is also something really cool to consider, guys. The difference between owning 20 rental properties as far as your workload and 200 rental properties could be the same amount of work. Now, let me flip the tables real fast. If you were also a real estate investor, but you weren't a buy and hold guy, okay, and you were a flipper, now imagine if you're flipping 20 properties at once versus flipping 200 properties at once. Your workload would absolutely be 10 times. It might be a little bit more than that because you can't get enough good crews in there at the same time. Like, it's going to be a horrendous task going from 20 to 200. But when you're buy and hold and you own rental properties, okay, scaling up doesn't necessarily mean you're working any harder at all. And that's all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching another video. If you got any good content in here today whatsoever, please consider smashing that like button, not gently tapping. I'm watching you. Smashing that like button, and I'll see you on the next video.